The ultimate goal of the educational system is to shift to the individual the burden of pursuing his education by John Gardner. Good day, everyone. I am Marjorie Marayan, your first discusser for today. Now, I want you to answer this question. How is teaching effectiveness measured? Future teachers, we must be reflective in our teaching. Thus, the answer is through self-assessment. Using several data gathered through the process of assessment, a teacher can make the adjustments of his or her teaching practice and ultimately grow in the chosen profession. Therefore, our lesson for today is all about assessment of one's teaching practice. So the objectives, after working on this module, you are expected to create reflective self-assessment using learner assessment data and other reflection aids for purposes of adjusting one's teaching practices and for purposes of growing in the profession or advancing in the career stage, and explain how professional and reflection and learning be used to improve teaching practice. So, the first one is reflective practice using learner attainment data. So, when we say reflective practice, it is in simplest form thinking about or reflecting on what you do. So, it is closely linked to the concept of learning from experience, whereas learner attainment data, it's about evidence and results of various assessments that are used in the monitoring and evaluation of learners' progress and achievement. So, therefore, reflective practice using learner attainment data allows teachers to identify the strengths and weaknesses of an entire class as well as individual students.
Good morning, everyone. I am the next discussant, and I will be discussing the next topic, which is the Learner's Test Course. Learner's Test Course is academic performances is the measurement of students' achievements across various academic subjects. So when we say academic performances, it is academic achievement is the extent to which a student, teacher, or institution has attained their short or long-term educational goals. Examples any academic performances is grades, honors, awards, competitive results, and experience that demonstrate the student's academic progress or engagement in students' life. Another is teachers and education officials typically measures achievement using classroom performance, graduation rates, and results from standardized tests. So when we say standardized test is a method of assessment built on the principle of consistency. Like for example, all test takers are required to answer the same questions and all answers are graded in the same predetermined way. Examples of standardized test is the National Achievement Test, or also known as NAT. This is a standardized set of examinations taken in the Philippines by the students in grade 3, 6, 10, and 12. The test is designed to determine their academic levels, strengths, and weaknesses, as well as their knowledge learned in a major subject throughout the year.
So, in order to increase the students' achievements, here are the following tips that the teacher must follow. So, number one, align instructions to learning standards. So, of course, when you are going to create a learning standards, of course, you have also to provide a learning instructions that are appropriate or that are aligned to your learning standard. For example, when your learning standard is all about demonstrate on how to use a microscope. So, for example, teacher will provide a microscope or teacher must allow students to explore a microscope in a science laboratory. And if the teacher don't have a science laboratory, we are advanced in technology. So the teacher can also show a video on how to operate a microscope. So not just the students will only visualize their ideas about microscope. So in that way, students are able to increase their achievement. So number 2, include formative assessment. Of course, you have to include a formative assessment during your lesson proper, so that we are, as a teacher, we are able to identify if that students are able to catch up or understand our topic. You should not proceed to another topic or if your students will not understand. So in that way, when you are going to give them a summative assessment, then they are going to have a passing or perfect score, because they are already know and understand the lesson as what you have provided the formative assessment prior to the summative assessment. So number 3, provide consistent feedback. Of course, you have to provide a consistent feedback for the learners to know what the things that needs them to improve. Not just that when you are going to have a topic, then you are going to give them an activity. You have to provide a feedback after they've done the activity, and also to the next topic and to the next topic. Not just the only one topic. So only one topic. So as a teacher, you have to be consistent, because providing feedback is very important. It's very important to our students. So in that way, students were able to know their strengths and weaknesses and needs them to improve. So students were able to increase their achievement. So number 4, use the feedback loop concept. So for you to have an effective feedback, you have to use the feedback loop concept. So the feedback loop concept is your feedback will be able to categorize into 2 types. So the first type is a positive feedback, and the second type is negative feedback. Of course, the positive feedback is all about the compliments that you are going to give to your students. And the negative feedback, this is the feedback needs them to improve their task or activity. So in that way, students will able to apply those feedbacks that you are given as a teacher and to the next activity. So in that way, students will able to come up a better and a productive output. So number 5, self-assess regularly. So you have to assess them regularly for you to know that the students will really learn your topic. So in that way, it helps a students increase their achievement.
Okay, now let's proceed to the second one. We have here learners, non-test data, and other information. Class, when we say non-test data, these are the tests that do not force the student to give their response, but rather allow the students to manifest their acquired knowledge and skills from the subject. One example of non-test data, class, is anecdotal records and checklist. Now, let's proceed by answering this question. Why is student assessment data so important, class? Yes, very good. Because it enables instructor to measure the effectiveness of their teaching by linking students' performance to a specific objectives. Also, teachers use the data to assess a student's performance, strengths, weaknesses, and progress. Now, class, what are the types of assessment again, future teacher? Okay, formative and summative assessment. Now, both formative and summative assessment provide students and teachers with vital information about what students understand, have mastered, and need more help with. They also inform teachers about what was taught effectively and what may have slipped through the cracks. Status and growth data in our assessment can help identify what's working and point to a successful program that can be scaled up.
Good day everyone, I am Razel Ramirez and now I'm going to talk about reflective practice through performance evaluation. So before that, let us define what is reflection and evaluation. So reflection, it is a process of reflecting your own experience and learn from them. While evaluation, it is a process of making an assessment or judgment about an experience or a person. So reflection and evaluation are two separate concepts but related. So why they are related? Anyone? Okay, very good. So reflection and evaluation are related because it talks about you, your experience, and how you have learned from that. And now let us talk about what is reflective practice and how you will be able to apply that in your life. So reflective practice, it is a process of thinking about how you have performed and asking yourself questions to identify how you could improve. Like for example, in an exam, you gain or get a very low score, and you will be able to ask yourself na, why did I get a very low score? What I have done? So from those questions, you will be able to reflect from that experience that maybe you don't want to experience that again. So you will reflect from that and able to come up with a solution that will help you improve yourself next time. So maybe from getting a low score, you will study hard, you will create notes, and from that next quiz, you will be able to get a passing score, or fortunately, you will be able to get a very high score. So reflective practice is very important because it helps you as an individual reflect from your own experience and learn from that, because once you reflect from your experience, you will be able to create a solution or come up a better plans on how you could help yourself to do better next time. So what why reflection is important and what benefits you can get from that. So reflective practice, it will help you increase your self-awareness. Why? It is because you will be aware more of yourself. You will be able to spot or point out your weaknesses, your and strengths, because if you are reflecting from your experience, you'll be able to say na, maybe that thing is my weakness, and you will be able to come up a plan or a strategy on how you could use that weakness to become your strength, and your strengths, you will be able to use your strengths to sharpen more that skill or your talent, diba? And also, what are the other benefits is to it is help you to develop a better understanding of others, and also to develop creative thinking skills, because through reflecting your experience, you'll be able to produce creative ideas, new ideas that will help you or will help you to apply it in your next activity or your output. And also, reflective practice, it helps you or encourages you to become an active in your work field, because if you have reflecting many things about your experience from your work or from your performance, you will be more active to participate, because you have gained a lot of realizations and plans on how you could upgrade yourself or help yourself to become a better individual or a student next time. Thank you, and that's all.
Now, how do you write a reflective evaluation? So, reflective assessment is when students are included in the assessment process by being asked or required to reflect either individually or together with others upon their own learning experience, either in writing or orally. So, first one, in writing reflective evaluation, you will You were asked what were the project goals and how did you attempt to achieve them. Second, what did you learn? Third, what did you do and feel? Fourth, what did others do and feel? Fifth, what was the outcome? And sixth, what were your personal strengths and weaknesses that were revealed? So, in writing reflective evaluation, you must first um, have the description of the experience in order um, to write an reflection. So, second is your feelings and thoughts about the experience. Third, evaluation of the experience, both good and bad. And fourth, the analysis to make sense of the situation. And lastly, the conclusion about what have you learned and what you could have done differently.
Good morning, everyone. I am Marisa Bacalso, and now we will talk about how you evaluate your own practice. So there are 4 steps in having evaluation to our own practice. Number 1 is evaluate your own practice against set target and goal. So in having an hour discussion, we need to make sure that our lesson is effective. Our topic is effective to our students. In that way, in having our assessment and evaluation, the students will avoid to against what are your targets and goal to your topic. So number 2 is identify self-development needs. So self-development needs, after having in our learning evaluation, the teacher know what are the things that we need to develop to our students. In that way, we need to focus the error of the student and enhance their needs as an individual learning. Number 3 is evaluate your practice. Number 4 is the skill you need to enable you to deliver the service well effectively. So as a teacher, we have a skill, and that skill that we need to use in delivering the lesson so that the lesson is effective to our students. So evaluation is about measuring the effectiveness of something. For example, how you teach and assess. To help you evaluate your practice, you can obtain feed of data. When analyze this information, it can be used to help you to improve your own practice and experience it to your learnings. Those are the steps on how you evaluate your own practice.
Okay, so good morning everyone. So by the way, I am Sherlyn Me Bornaga, so I am the next reporter. So now we will be tackled about the students as evaluators. So students can be effective evaluators of teaching as they have first an experience of the instructor's teaching styles and effectiveness. They can also provide valuable feedback on what worked well and didn't, which can help instructors improve their teaching methods. When students are involved in the evaluation process, it promotes a more student-centered approach to teaching. It allows instructors to understand the needs of their students and make changes to better meet those needs. Students' evaluation can also help to identify areas where instructors are excelling and should continue to focus their efforts, as well as areas where improvement is needed. This feedback can be used by instructors to make adjustments to their teaching methods, which can ultimately lead to better learning outcomes for their students. In addition, involving students in evaluation process helps to promote a culture of accountability and transparency. It shows that instructors are open to feedback and willing to make changes to improve teaching effectiveness. Overall, students can provide valuable insights into the teaching and learning process by incorporating their feedback into the evaluation process. Instructors
can improve their teaching methods, enhance the learning experience for their students, and promote a culture, accountability, and transparency in education.
Good morning, everyone. I'll be your next reporter. My name is Rogeline Bulatag, and let's proceed to the methods of measuring teaching effectiveness. So, measuring teaching effectiveness is a complex process that involves multiple methods. These methods are used to evaluate a teacher's performance in the classroom and to determine how well they are meeting the needs of their students. One of the methods used to measure teaching effectiveness is first, the principal evaluations. This involves the principal observing the teacher in the classroom and providing feedback that their teaching style, classroom management, and overall effectiveness. Another method is the analysis of classroom artifacts, which includes the evaluations of teacher assignments and student work. This method provides insight into the quality of the teacher's instructional materials and their ability to challenge their students. Third, teaching portfolios are also used to measure teaching effectiveness. These portfolios contain samples of the teacher's work, such as lesson plans, student assessments, and reflections on their teaching practice. Fourth, teacher self-reports of practice are method used to measure teaching effectiveness. This includes the surveys, teaching logs, and interviews where teachers reflect on their teaching practice and provide feedback on their own performance. And last, student ratings of teachers' performance are used to measure teaching effectiveness. These ratings are gathered through surveys or questionnaires that are completed by the students and provide teachers' ability to engage and educate their students. Overall, these methods of measuring teaching effectiveness provide a comprehensive evaluation of a teacher's performance in the classroom and help to identify areas for improvement. That would be all for the methods of measuring teaching effectiveness.
And now let's talk about peers as evaluators. What is peer evaluation of teaching? Peer evaluation of teaching consists of review of teaching performance by colleagues, usually in the same or a similar discipline, with the purpose of assessing and improving the quality of teaching. Peer review puts faculty in charge of the quality of their teaching. Peer teachers reinforce their own learning by instructing others. Students feel more comfortable and open when interacting with a peer. Peers and students share a similar discourse, allowing for greater understanding. Peer teaching is a financially efficient alternative to hiring more staff members. Also, peer evaluation is an effective collaborative learning strategy that asks students to reflect on contributions made by colleagues and group work.
Good day, everyone. I am Miss Campos, and now I will discuss on how to create good evaluation rubrics for peer evaluation. So first, use short evaluation skills. People are not very good at evaluating things on a large evaluation scale. In some cases, you might want to have 5 possible answers, but then it is important to make sure that it is visible for the students to differentiate between the possible answers. And second, make the evaluation questions clear with examples. So when asking students to evaluate the quality of something, it is essential to make sure that they know what defines good and bad. The easiest ways to do this is to include specific criteria and examples in the evaluation question. In this example, the question simply asks students to rate the solution without further explanation. This can lead to students focusing on very different things and forgetting essential things that make a solution good. Number 3, make questions responses match the question. A great way to guide students in giving proper feedback and evaluations. is to provide clear questions responses that match the question. In this example, the four possible responses match the questions are not just generic answers. Using specific responses is a great way to help students define what constitutes good and bad solutions. In number 4, ask about one thing at the time. Often, it can be luring to combine multiple questions into a single question. To reduce the number of evaluation questions that students have to fill out. Unfortunately, this often leads to questions that are harder to answer and consequently will actually take longer for students to decide on. So in this example, the student is asked to evaluate both the quality of a solution to an exercise and the quality of documentation to that solution. In number 5, use meaningful section to break up questions. Having section in the evaluation questions make the process of filling them out easier on the students since they can track their progress better. It also helps students in knowing what the relevant context is for the specific question is. Number 6, combine qualitative and quantitative questions. Generally, evaluation questions can be divided into two categories, the qualitative and the quantitative. Qualitative questions requires the students to put their thoughts into constructive written arguments, which is a great way of training the skills of providing constructive feedback. For the quantitative, questions require students to assess the quality of something on a scale provided by the teacher. This is help students understand the evaluation criteria and learning requirements for the course. So class, do you have any questions? Clarification class? If none, I will give you the floor to teacher Jaren.
Good morning, everyone. I am Jaren Silanza. What is peer review? Peer review is the evaluation of work by one or more people with similar competencies as the producers of the work. Provides a metacognitive process of learning in that both the students and the teachers are able to receive feedback. Teachers will receive feedback on their pedagogical practice. Mura ka siya ng group study. May mag-story niya, kinahanglan po na sa kay, hindi pa ko tanon sa kanya, nakakay tubag ba? Aminaw sa ka. For students, peer learning can lead to improve and more personalized, engaged, and collaborative learning experience, all of which can lead to higher achievement. For peer teachers, the experience can deepen their understanding and subject and impart confidence. Di ka maawaw. Okay. Next reporter, we have tackled supervisors as evaluators. Thank you.
Good morning, everyone. I am Chanelin T. Behenia, your reporter for today. So we will talk about supervisors as evaluators. The general purpose of supervision is the improvement of teaching and learning. The basic premise of supervision is that a teacher's instructional behavior affects student learning. An examination of instructional behaviors can lead to improvement in teaching and learning. So from the praise nga, the basic premise of supervision is that the teacher's instructional behavior affects the student's learning, which means nga when it comes to supervising, a teacher must know how to approach children, like in a way nga pleasing sa ears nila paminaw, like whenever na ay mga discussion, always lower sa tone sa voice kanang igorasad madungog sa imong mga pupils, or know when to raise or lower sa voice because it can affect your pupils man. For example, sige kag discuss din ha. Nya naay usa ka student nga wa na minaw mao imong gicall ang iyang attention. Nya the way kaning approach is kanang pinasuko or kanang nangisog na gani ka. So do you think nga ang imong estudyante ganahan pa maminaw nimo? Napabaka siya ay makatunan after nimo gikasab-an? So be careful lang gyud and be mindful sa imong voice. Kay maybe maka-affect na sa imuhang pupils. So therefore, children should be taken gently because they easily get sad or annoyed or kanang mga negative attitudes. So when supervising the children, it is best to evaluate yourself kung angay baka ako ning kasab-an or mao sa kaning bataa kung akong kasaban in front sa class or angay baka ko mangisog para lang makuha ang ilang attention like ning ana nga mga thoughts. So as a teacher, be sensitive and be observant sa actions towards sa imuhang children kung maka-affect baka ni nila psychologically. Thank you.
So this is the continuation of Channel's report, which is supervisor and evaluator. So this is under evaluating impact. So formulating team and individual SMART goals aimed at high probability influence on student performance. So it helps students to take grants from ideas to action. Then setting SMART objectives keeps the projects moving forward and help them accountability and timing, and let the students know that they are accomplishing what they set out to accomplish. So second is developing a range of artifacts and other forms of evidence of adults learning and growth. So we know that adults tends to learn, so we can tailor corporate training programs to take advantage of the qualities adults learners have, so like their eagerness to learn and learn a relevant materials, their needs to connect with experience, and their motivation to improve themselves. So lastly is creating determined measure that fairly affects that reflects educators impact on students learning. So measuring the growth of the students by comparing where they are at earlier time with what where they are now. So this is under the tree is under the evaluating impact. So that's all.